where I belong. You've been down from the go. Recognition's what you want.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Archie Tech Experiment. This is probably going to be debatably the best episode yet. Today we have a woman that really needs no introduction. She is one of the most beautiful women I ever met, probably the most beautiful woman I ever met. Hands down, one of the brightest women in the world. She has been an advocate in CT for prison reform and getting free phone calls in Connecticut for prisoners. Connecticut had one of the highest phone call rates and is currently the only state that has free phone calls. She is Diane Lewis. She is here with us right now. I am going to bring her in from the waiting room, and we're going to get real familiar with her, y'all. This is going to be a very special episode. Stick with us. Woo! There she is. How you doing today?
Hi, Archie Tech. How are you?
I'm good. You know, same thing.
I like your show. You got a good thing going. Keep it up.
Thank you. You watch us?
I'm a fan.
Yeah,
probably your biggest fan.
Most likely my biggest fan, I would imagine. So I wouldn't think it any other way. So I already basically introduced you to the viewers. Why don't we just jump right into what made you so passionate about prison reform?
Well, in 2004, my son went to prison. He was 17 years old, and I had known while we were going to court back and forth, things weren't right. I saw a lot of injustice, and plus I had just known about the criminal justice system and how corrupt it was and how dysfunctional it was. But when it was time to actually be involved in it myself to fight for my son's life, I started to see a lot of things that I knew that I was going to be fighting for.
And put up a good fight. I would imagine that you did put up a good fight. So do you feel like it was important for your son to have a connection with the outside world while he was in prison?
It's important for everybody that's incarcerated to have a connection with the outside world. First of all, it improves recidivism. So if you're in prison and you have a contact with your family members, chances are you're going to do your best in prison. You're going to do everything you need to do to come home to that family. You got something to look forward to. And plus your family, that was how I was able to sleep at night.
And so have you heard any feedback, because the prison phone calls went into effect July 1st, am I right? And so have you heard any feedback? Because I know that a lot of people were criticizing the bill before it was passed, saying that it will actually rise violence in the prison. People will be fighting over the phone. Did you hear anything about that, or
I wasn't worried about that while they were saying that. I knew it was going to be naysayers, people that had to fight against the bill, but I knew that that wasn't going to be the case. What you're going to be fighting for when you have access to a phone, when you can talk to your family members, you don't want those privileges taken away. But bigger than that, jail, you're going to fight in jail anyway. Jail is a place where there are fights. There are going to be fights whether the phone calls are free or whether you're paying for them. Jail, the COs are supposed to be trained to deal with that. They need to do their jobs.
And so what was it? Because that is true. It's a violent place, regardless of whether they get phone calls. Now, I would imagine that being able to use the phone and being connected would actually keep prisoners on their best behavior for the most part. But knowing how that environment is, what was it like for you knowing that your son was in that environment?
At first, I mean, because he was so young when he went, I was sick, because I watched shows like Oz and I watched other prison shows, and they were never good. Nothing ever good happened in there. So I got online, I looked at where he slept. I saw, like, I got on the Connecticut DOC website, and I saw the picture of the cell. I knew that was just way too small. It was, it just looked like a knock plate. It was cold. The walls were gray, like, everything. So I knew it was nothing good in there. And I knew that it wasn't a happy place. So the least I could do is try to keep his spirits up while he was there.
And so you stayed connected with your son practically his full prison?
Every day.
Every time he was in prison?
Every day.
And what kind of, because I know that Connecticut had some of the highest phone rates in the country.
Connecticut had the highest phone rate in the country, yes.
Yeah. And so what kind of sacrifices did you have to make? Because I could imagine that was expensive. That probably got really expensive.
It was extremely expensive. I made sacrifices like all mothers do. You know, I didn't eat lunch all the time. You know, I didn't do a lot of extracurricular stuff. Like I didn't go out as much. I didn't go to the movies. I didn't do a lot of the things that I like to do. It was expensive. You know, sometimes the lights went out. Sometimes I didn't have gas. Sometimes, you know, so and every family experiences that.
And I'm sure that he really appreciates that, because it sounds like y'all did that bit together. But moving back towards the phone calls before they were free, do you know who owned Securus? Who benefited off of the amount of money, that the profit that they was making?
Okay, so in Connecticut, Securus made $14 million every year. We know where that money came from because the people in prison are disproportionately Black and brown. So the majority of those costs, and 1 in 3 families go into debt when they have an incarcerated loved one. So the majority of the people that were taking care of the people in jail are Black women. So we knew that was a problem already that needed to be tackled. We needed to know that the system was going to accommodate our families and our community so that we could better take care of our incarcerated loved ones. Okay.
And how did you manage the type of stress that came with that? Like, and what I mean is, you were on the front lines of that battle, making the phone calls free. And like, I know that was a stressful thing. How did you kind of like, what kept you going to, like, because your son was released, I believe, before July 1st. What kept you going to continue that fight even after he was out?
Well, he was in prison.
He might go back.
He was in prison when I started.
Yeah.
When I started the fight, he was already in prison. They had already banned me. They had already banned me from the prison. The CO, me and one of the lady COs had a really horrible argument. And then that was the last time I was ever in a Connecticut prison. They banned me. And then I realized that they were retaliating against me because I met a guy who said to me, hey, you know, you do real good work out here. Can we get you to come inside the prison and volunteer? And I was like, sure, but they won't let me visit my son. So I don't know if they'll let me. I doubt if they'll let me come into the prison to do volunteer work. He was like, really? No, go ahead and fill out the application. Well, I filled out the application, and what I thought was real. They were retaliating against me because I was approved to go into the prison to work. So I told my son, I said, I'm not filling out any more applications, because I have filled out numerous visiting applications, and every one of them kept coming back saying I had an open criminal case, which I did not. And so I told him, I said, listen, hold it down. I'm not putting in any more applications, but I want you to call home every day. So the phone was all I had.
Yeah, I was just about to say that probably added even more to already high phone bill. What is it like when you visit a prisoner?
I would imagine, I've never lost a child, but I would imagine that it is like going to your child's wake. You know what I'm saying? It's like a death, because I'm leaving without him.
Just very bad energy all around.
Just negative, dry, gray, cold. The COs are not the nicest people, and you know, but families do what they got to do, because we have to come in and see that you okay
and keep those spirits lifted. So you start the fight for getting phone calls free while he's in there, which is unfair, because the burden is placed on the families and not the actual prisoner.
Well, I had to get some type of revenge. They kept me from my son for like 5 years, and I'm sitting here saying, how am I gonna get them back? I gotta do something, and I did.
And you was featured because of this, because of the fight to get free phone calls in Connecticut. You were featured on Forefront with Samantha Bee.
Mm-hmm.
and local news countless times. And I'm
Everywhere.
sure
Essence
meetings with the,
Magazine, the Connecticut Mirror, all the newspapers, everybody wanted to talk about it. And I was right there because I needed to get that out, that this was something serious. This is something that we need to eliminate.
and so do you think that other states should copy Connecticut?
Well, that's my job now. My job now is to go all over the country and organize people because they don't know. Who would have thought that in Connecticut, the highest rates in the country, nobody thought that.
Nobody
I
would have
mean,
thought that.
nobody would have
Nobody
thought that
did
was
think that.
possible. I certainly didn't. I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna keep going. Somebody gonna hear this story out. And so now all over the country, I'm a little disappointed because in Massachusetts, I mean, our organization was like that close. It passed the House, it passed the Senate, and then the governor vetoed it. Hopefully, I hear the Massachusetts governor is resigning after this, and I hope they get a new governor that will, that will understand the importance of keeping families connected when the family member is incarcerated.
And then put it through again. Not to cut you off, but just to stay on the topic of getting the bill passed, because a lot of people that don't like watch the news or follow politics probably didn't even know that you were spearheading this movement to get free phone calls. And a lot of people got kind of blindsided by that good news, though. It was good news, but people probably got blindsided by it. How long did it take you? Because to people that don't know, it happened overnight. Like one day phone calls were sky high and the next day.
We lost the first time around. We didn't have the votes in 2020. So we knew that we had to regroup, re-strategize, and come back for 2021. So we did, and we won this time. So it was actually 2 or 3 years in the making before we actually got enough support.
Yeah. And you got the free phone calls in Connecticut. Now you running around the country trying to get it everywhere else.
And I am.
Is there any, and I'm sure that you will, is there anything else besides phone calls that could be done that you think will help prisoners? Anything else?
Let's get rid of commissary. When my son was in prison, and this is something I will never forget, and he called me and he said, Marty, Jay-Z album came out? I said, yes. And I said, you want it? He said, yeah. I said, okay, I'm gonna send you $20. He was like, that ain't gonna be enough. $20. My son was just like, the CD cost like $40, $50. And I was like, what? Yeah. So that's something right there. See, here's the thing. The organization that I work for is committed to destroying the prison industry complex. Like, it gotta go. Anybody that think, any person, company, individual that think they're going to make money on the backs of incarcerated people and their families, we're coming to see them. So commissary, the bail system is bogus. If you're poor, whether you did it or not, you ain't got the money, you're going to stay in prison. Whereas if you're rich and you actually did it, you could still make enough, you could pay your bond, you got the money to pay the bond, you got the resources to get out of prison. So parole and probation is a scam. So all those things, the whole
system got to be destroyed and rebuilt.
Because it's not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's working. It's working. It's working just fine. So we have to burn it down and rebuild
it in a way that's fair for everybody, because nobody's calling, I don't think, for criminals to be able to just run wild without punishment. But punishment with rehabilitation, I think, is the important thing. And right now, they're not rehabilitating us.
Well, what's happening is they got a whole bunch of people in prison that shouldn't be there.
Exactly.
If you have a drug addiction, why are you in prison?
Yeah.
If you're mentally ill, what are you doing in prison? Like, they have places for people who have drug addictions. They have places for people who are mentally ill. It's not prison. That's never going to work. And that's why we are where we are with the criminal justice system.
It sounds like you got your hands full and you formulating a plan and you keep going.
And I'm never stopping.
We need you. Protect this woman at all costs.
Protect me.
The country depends on it.
I told you, they kept me from my son for 5 years, so I owe them.
They probably should not have done that, because now look,
they should not have done that.
All right, well, that's all the time that This has been lovely, but that's all the time that we have for you today.
Thank you.
When you overthrow the government, we're gonna have you back on. When you're the Queen of America, we're gonna have you back on there.
Thank you.
But remember, come to us first.
Thank you, Archie Tech. You get first dibs all the time, whenever. You got a personal connection. You got the end. So.
And you are beautiful. Let me just say that.
Why, thank you, sir.
Well,
I appreciate that. You're looking pretty good yourself.
Thank you. And also today my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna put you in the waiting room and do my outro.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you more.
All right. Talk to you later. All right. That was Diane Lewis. If you know, you know. She needs no introduction. She is doing the damn thing. She getting things done. That is actually it for the Archie Tech experiment. That's it. No more Archie Tech experiment. This is, I think, a very proper way to end it. I'm gonna take a couple weeks off. I got some things going on, but when I come back, we're gonna be professional. I promise you guys, it's gonna be the Archie Tech experience, and we going all the way to the moon, baby. We about to, you know what I'm saying? We about to get it done. Stick with me. As always, love each other. Love each other, be kind to each other, make change, be like Diane Lewis, make change. If you can't change the world, at least change the things that's going on around you. It only takes sometimes one person to make a great impact. So I love y'all. I really do.
Happy birthday to the first person that ever called me mom. You've been beating the odds since before you were born, boy, and I expect nothing less. The doctors told me you would never walk and your brain wasn't developing properly, but your grandmother prayed over my pregnant belly every single day, and 36 years ago today, a healthy baby boy was born. We grew up together, and I made many mistakes along the way, but the one thing that never changed was how much I love you. I'm so glad you're choosing life, because I don't want mine without you in it. Happy birthday, sunshine, and I will always love you.